By the start of May 1862, President Lincoln, whom was a highly involved leader, opted to go down to Hampton Roads and personally review the slow progress of General George McClellan's Peninsula Campaign, which was supported by Flag Officer Louis Goldsborough, whom was in command of the Union fleet within Hampton Roads. Between the 5th and 12th of May, Lincoln would probe and increasingly involve himself within operations around Hampton Roads, and by the time he had left, several cities had been captured and a significant Confederate warship, the Virginia, had been destroyed. Aside from the several accomplishments of his command during that week, it was also the only time during his presidency that he would have the opportunity to board the USS Monitor and personally inspect it. It was a vessel that he was highly interested in and played a large role in creating. To be specific, Lincoln would personally board the Monitor on 2 separate days, the 7th of May and the 9th of May. Both of these days had different purposes. Starting with the 7th, Lincoln's intentions were to review the fleet and boost the morale of individual sailors by holding court with them. He would visit multiple warships over the course of the day, and he would not mention that the previous night he had begun hatching the plans to take several cities surrounding Hampton Roads. Monitor's paymaster, William Keeler, would write extensively about the president's visit. "We received a visit today from President Lincoln, in company with Secretaries Chase and Stanton and other dignitaries, attended by General Wool and staff in full uniform. Mr. Lincoln had a sad, careworn, and anxious look in strong contrast to the gay cortege by which he was surrounded. As the boat which brought the party came alongside, every eye sought the Monitor but his own. He stood with his face averted as if to hide some disagreeable sight. When he turned to us, I could see his lip quiver and his frame tremble with strong emotion, and imagined that the terrible drama in these waters of the 9th and 10th of March was passing in review before him. As the officers were introduced, I was presented as being from his own state. He was very happy, he said, to find one from Illinois on board the Monitor. He examined everything about the vessel with care, manifesting great interest, his remarks evidently shewing that he had carefully studied what he thought to be our weak points, and that he was well acquainted with all of the mechanical details of our construction." The letter then goes on to say, "Before he left, he had the crew mustered on the open deck, and passed slowly before them, hat in hand. It gives me pleasure to say, and I record it to his credit, that he declined the invitation to whiskey, but took a glass of ice water." After the fleet review concluded, General McClellan would request from Lincoln that Galena and other gunboats move up the James River. Lincoln would then send a message to Flag Officer Goldsborough. "Sir, Major General McClellan telegraphs that he has ascertained by a reconnaissance that the battery at Jamestown has been abandoned, and he again requests that gunboats may be sent up the James River. If you have tolerable confidence that you can successfully contend with the Merrimac without the help of the Galena and 2 accompanying gunboats, send the Galena and 2 gunboats up the James River at once. Please report your action on her to me at once. I shall be found either at General Wool's headquarters or aboard the Miami. Your obedient servant, A. Lincoln." As for the Monitor, Lincoln had different ideas. He needed reconnaissance on Sewell's Point for 2 purposes. 1, the Confederates had fortified it, and 2, the CSS Virginia would moor near it when it was out during operations. If the Union was to take Sewell's Point with ease, the fortifications had to either be abandoned or softened by artillery barrage, and for the Virginia it had to be removed from Sewell's Point, whether that be by chasing it off or sinking it in a gunfight. Having made his mind up, Lincoln would venture back out to the Monitor on the morning of the 9th of May, and he would discuss his operation with Captain Jeffers. Jeffers, in return, had expressed he was slightly concerned about the operation as it had not been approved by Flag Officer Goldsborough, which was breaking the chain of command. Lincoln assured Jeffers that he would personally inform Goldsborough about the operation, and if Goldsborough objected to it, signal would be given to the Monitor to reverse course and cancel the reconnaissance operation. Having received the President's assurances, Jeffers would order steam raised at about 9:30 a.m., and Monitor would sail at a steady pace of 4 to 5 knots across Hampton Roads towards Sewell's Point. No signal would ever be received to cancel the operation, and so Jeffers had to assume that Goldsborough agreed. By 11 a.m., Monitor was near Sewell's Point and had clear view of the CSS Virginia, which was still inactive by this point. It fired a shot into the water ahead of the Virginia, and there was no response. Monitor would fire a second shell at the Virginia, and there was still no movement from the Confederate ironclad. As a result, orders were given for the turret to train its guns on Sewell's Point, and a number of shells were fired at the Confederate fortifications. Monitor's crew could see little to no activity on Sewell's Point, and the Confederates by this time had still failed to return fire, so the reconnaissance operation was considered a success, and Monitor began to sail away. Simultaneously, the Virginia had raised steam and also began to sail away, backing to the safety of Craney Island's battery. The results of the mission were highly disappointing to the Monitor's crew, as they had anticipated another go at the Virginia. William Keeler would write, "A good deal of fault has been found with Captain Jeffers by the officers on board for not attacking the Merrimac, as we had her in a very favorable spot that would have given us every advantage we desired. He has always complained that he could not get permission to attack her from the flag officer, but we have reason to think that he had the consent of the President to pitch into her if a favorable opportunity offered. Still, if his orders were simply to make a reconnaissance to discover if the batteries had been strengthened or reinforced with men or guns, he accomplished his object." This reconnaissance mission was very important, as over the next couple of days, using the information he had collected, Lincoln would press his plans into operation, and on the 11th of May 1862, he wrote a letter to Henry Halleck. "Norfolk in our possession, Merrimac blown up, and Monitor and other boats going up James River to Richmond. Be very sure to sustain no reverse in your department. A. Lincoln." After the success of his operations, Lincoln would depart Hampton Roads and return to Washington, D.C., where he was most needed. By the end of the year, the Monitor would be residing on the sea floor, and Lincoln would never again have an opportunity to step foot on the ironclad again. Lincoln's 2 visits to the Monitor have largely been forgotten, but they are very important from a historical context, as they played a role in the capture of the cities around Hampton Roads, and they also show the character that Lincoln has become known for. With that having been said, I have nothing more I wish to add on to this topic for today. So, if you have learned something new in this video, why not leave a like and a comment down below, and have a wonderful day.